This next question really got me thinking. And in fact, I wasn't quite sure how to answer it at first, and then all of a sudden the light went on and I knew the right answer. The question is who, that is, what one group and or person is the single most formidable opponent to Christianity today? Now I'm going to take as a qualifier that we're talking about our country. I think the answer in the broadest sense would be Islam, but that's worldwide. And so I want to focus more on, and I don't say Satan because Satan would be, in a certain sense, the most formidable opponent in any day or any era. The question was, what is the particular manifestation that the challenge to Christianity is taking here? And I'm taking this to be particularly Western civilization, and specifically even more America. And as I was thinking about this, I was kind of running through the Rolodex of people and groups and challengers to Christianity, and all of a sudden the light bulb went on, and I realized that there is no parallel here, or no equal to this particular challenge. But my answer may surprise you until you think about it for a moment. I think that the group that is the single most formidable opponent to Christianity today is the church. I mean the church here in the broadest sense. I mean Christendom. Not just evangelicals who are deeply committed to Christ. So I'm not going to beat up on the bride here. I am going to say something about the problems in the church writ large. Those people who would consider themselves Christians in one sense or another. The biggest difficulty, I think, is the incursion of relativism in the church, relativism of such a force that it undermines both the moral structure and the theological structure of the church. I've written about what I call the confused confession. People say, well, Jesus is my Savior, but I don't say that he's got to be other people's Savior as well. And therefore, the relativism with regards to religion results in a pluralism and an inclusivism that essentially guts the gospel. Either Jesus is the Messiah for all people, or he is the Messiah for none. But he can't be true for you and not for me. And once we do that, we remove the teeth and the obligation from the Great Commission. And if the Great Commission has no teeth or obligation, the church can't fulfill it. And then the church is not fulfilling its greatest obligation left behind by Jesus. And this problem manifests itself in so many different forms. I see, for example, in the Oprah Winfrey, the Church of O, and the promotion of this New Age, The Secret, and many Christians attaching themselves to this nonsense. I see the extreme side of the emerging church, particularly the emergent village types, that I think have, through their postmodern perspective, have deeply undermined the authority of the gospel because the issue of truth and knowledge are challenged in those environments. And therefore the truth of the gospel is undermined. I think of the what's called the Insiders movement now, a very popular movement that is sweeping Muslim missions that essentially takes the teeth out of the gospel even for Muslims. And so the so-called gospel is going out to them with it being received with joy when there's no gospel in it, quite frankly. And that's another issue, but it's another example here of how the church is laying hold of things, the spirit of the age, as it were, that undermines its very reason for existence, at least vis-a-vis the world, and that is to be a vehicle to fulfill the Great Commission, because different aspects of its belief and conduct has, for all intents and purposes, gutted the gospel of its force and of its capability. And of course, when that happens, it's easy to be a Christian when the gospel is benign. But if the gospel is allowed to be the gospel, and Jesus is allowed to be the Jesus of the gospel, then Christians get in trouble and with the culture, and people shy away from that. And that, I think, is the biggest problem facing the church today.